Hi everybody, Miro from Park Bench Plainfield here. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to your community website where we feature and share the stories of business professionals who live or work in the Plainfield area. Today my guest is Ross and he's the owner of Chikara Martial Arts. I hope that you enjoy his story and find it interesting. Hey Ross, welcome to Park Bench Plainfield and thank you so much for hanging out with me here today and really giving us a chance to get to know you a little bit better. So I'm going to start out by asking you, how did you get into martial arts?
Growing up as a child, I loved martial arts and Bruce Lee was a big deal. When I was 5, that's when Bruce Lee was a big deal. I was very much into it. Kung Fu theater every Sunday, love that. And I was very attracted to it.
Right.
Problem was, my parents were not sure whether I was very serious, and I think a lot of kids face that. Like, yeah, they think martial arts is cool, ninjas and stuff, but are they really going to do this? So they didn't take it super, super serious, and I wanted it, but it didn't wind up happening until I was about 16. I was in high school, and I met somebody who was willing to teach me, a guy named Tom Lindstrom. And so 16 was late. I know a lot of people who start when they're 5, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had gotten to start when I was 5, right?
Right.
But I wanted that, but my parents really didn't understand how I felt about it. So it's on TV, that's what he wants, So I wound up at age 16, back in 1980. I met this guy named Tom Lindstrom, and he was actually studying ninjutsu.
Right.
And it was so cool to train with my buddy Tom. He was great, and he was teaching me, and we would travel around and go to seminars and meet different people and get to train in that. And then after that, that's when I went to college, like at 18, and I took Shonryu Karate with Joy Santa Maria. This was in New York. All this was in New York.
Right.
And then I started taking a very structured, karate, learning traditional martial arts, striking, blocking, punching, movement, good structured program and everything. And she was an amazing martial artist. I can't tell you how amazed I was to see this woman who was teaching, and she was my master, and she comes in one day with a cast on her leg. And this affected me in a big way.
Right.
She came in with a cast on her leg. She had broken her leg, and she's teaching, and we're kicking, and she's out there kicking with this cast on. And she says to everybody, she goes, "Come on, I've got a cast on my leg, and I'm doing it. Come on, let's go."
Well, when you got a teacher like that, how can you complain about not?
Yeah, I got a boo-boo. Right. Yeah, I got a little scratch. So, I got a cough. I can't come in. So she's kicking like that, and that really impacted me. I hope she knows this, that for the rest of my life, things would happen to me, whether I broke my ankle or hurt my arm.
Obviously, you're very passionate about martial arts.
Yeah.
And it's been part of your life for about 40 years or so.
40 years,
right?
yeah. This is my 40th anniversary.
At what point, now I realize that you've been a student of martial arts for a long time. That's a journey that you never get off of, right?
Yeah.
So how long have you been actually teaching martial arts?
I would say, in all fairness, I opened my first school back in 2001. So about 18 years.
Okay.
But inevitably, the people that I trained with back then, the lesson in martial arts, if you've got the right teachers, is everything you learn, you share with somebody else.
Right.
So when the newest students come in, you're teaching. Somebody once asked me, what's the difference between a martial arts student, a martial arts teacher, a martial arts master, and a martial arts grandmaster? That's pretty much the span of everything, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is someone says, well, what makes a master so much better than somebody else? And the reason why that is because not only are you teaching your students, and you're teaching your teachers, your people who are leading for you, but every time you teach them, you teach it back to yourself.
What discipline do you actually teach? There's many different disciplines. What is the one that you're teaching?
The answer I have to give for that is I'm best known for combative and traditional jiu-jitsu.
How is that different compared to some of the other disciplines out there?
So the jiu-jitsu has an aspect to it that allows you to have options, in my opinion. Right. And again, I am not putting down any other system of martial arts because I don't believe in doing that. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as a bad martial art. There is no such thing. Mm-hmm. There's only bad martial artists.
Right.
And whether you have a good one teaching you or a bad one teaching you, it all depends on who trained them and how seriously they took it and their intent for teaching.
And what are some of the benefits that you've experienced from being involved with martial arts, or some of the benefits that your students have shared with you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many good things, one of which most people will tell you right off the bat is focus. Big picture of things. When you need to go from point A to point B and accomplish a task, focus is huge.
Right.
So you learn that. Also, the drive. Mm-hmm. The drive to not give up. I am extremely stubborn when it comes to not giving up.
Right.
You want to call it stubborn, go right ahead. But sometimes I'm just like, I don't give up until it's either done or I have completely met a wall which cannot be passed.
Obviously, there's a number of benefits that will help you not just with learning and mastering martial arts, but also in your personal life, right, and other areas of your life. Now, I got to ask you this. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered and that you've been presented with having done martial arts for as long as you have, and how have you overcome those challenges? Well,
everybody has different challenges. For me, I'm a big guy. Mm-hmm. And I've been like this for a long time. I think since the age of 13, I started packing on some serious mass. And, people would have said, oh, well, a lot of people have tried to say, oh, well, being a heavy guy, that'll slow you down and it must be more difficult for you. But I move around very quickly for a man my size. And I am actively working on dieting, good health eating, improving my health, fasting, mm-hmm. doing things to improve. And one of my goals, especially because I'm on Facebook and all these other media, that what I want to do is lose the weight, get to my ideal weight, and then come right out and admit publicly that I waited too long to do it.
What's next for your martial arts business? What are your goals? What are you working on for the next year or so?
Now, at this point in my career, I want to kind of go the route of the Mr. Miyagi kind of guy, you know? So I like to have students who really want it, who I'm not looking to do the commercial school thing, and both of those models work. There are some people who want to have schools, they want to have a public location, have hundreds of people coming in and out of there over the course of time. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for something that's unique that many people in my circles do, which is we're looking for really people who want to make the whole journey to the end. Right? The whole journey to keep going. And that's different. You want somebody who's going to consistently keep going over the course of time. Mm-hmm. And we all know that life gets in the way. Stuff happens. You're going to want to go to a special class. You're going to want to go to college. You're going to want to get a job. And these things kind of take time. We all have that. But if you make it so you say, look, I'm here at my home, and when you're ready to train, you show up. Mm-hmm. So now what I'm doing is I'm teaching more with almost what I call a punch card system. It's a little different than saying you pay a monthly fee and it's your responsibility to show up. Mm-hmm. And if you don't show up, that's your money that you're burning. So instead, I set up to say, okay, you pay X amount of dollars a month. It's for me, I charge $100 for the month, and that's 10 classes or $10 a class. Very inexpensive for a 1-hour class. So a person comes, and if they come to class, one class comes off. If they don't come to class because they're busy, they don't lose anything.
Right.
So
they still have that many more lessons left to learn until they're available and they can make it there.
Right.
So can we shift gears for a moment from martial arts to, instead of the art of martial arts, rather to the business of martial arts?
Sure.
You've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
You've had your own business for a long time.
Yeah, too.
What lessons, what would you advise somebody who's thinking about starting their own business or martial arts studio? Some of the things that you've learned that you would like to share with them so perhaps they could avoid some pitfalls.
Okay, so the business of martial arts can be difficult. Just like any business, you have to have a business plan. You have to make sure you get finances together to start. One of the best things you could do is come up with a spreadsheet, because it's different for everybody. Depending on where you are, costs will be different.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Without a doubt.
depending on where you are, it's gonna cater. It's gonna tell you what your overhead's gonna be for having a location. You have to be at a good location. If you're in a bad location, like if you say, "Well, I'm going to teach out of a warehouse," and people do it because warehouses, that space is much cheaper.
Right.
But when you have less exposure, it requires more advertising, more exposure manually, more exposure with the social media. That's one of the saving graces with a lot of people is social media. But if you're going to get a good location, then it's going to cost more in overhead. Because if you've got a good location, if you're at what's called an A or a B location, then you're going to get a lot more foot traffic, but you're going to pay the price. Right. So there's that cost. There's insurance. There's uniforms. There's all the materials that you need, advertising materials, business cards, T-shirts. It goes on and on and on. All these different things you have to have.
Ross, once again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and really sharing your story. And it's truly a fascinating story. And folks, for those of you out there who would like to know more about Ross and find out about the services and the martial arts that he provides, all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see the different ways you can connect with him. And do not hesitate to reach out. And for those of you out there who would like to share your story on this website, all you have to do is go to www.parkbench.com/Plainfield and click on the request interview icon. We'll take care of the rest. Thanks for joining us, everyone. See you next time.